All right. Hi, I'm Bruce, and welcome to this mechanic reaction video. I don't claim to be an expert on anything that we get into, but Bruce knows a thing or two about a thing or two. So today I'm looking at the news and specifically about Senator Thune and Schumer, and we're talking about the government shutdown and its possible impacts to things like SNAP benefits and whatnot. So, my personal opinion on this, I think it's pretty straightforward. Uh, Democrats have really stepped in it, but at the same time, Republicans. I mean, they could just put Senator Schumer's resolution on the floor. Um, and I do have both of them pulled up over here, so there are differences. So this is the HR 5371. This is the act that everybody is talking about. And there's like 30 something pages here. And this is the Democratic response to it, I guess. That what they want to change about the clean CR. Um, and this is about 60 something pages. Different format, so the page numbers aren't going to be, you know, necessarily the same. I would expect this page format and font to, have an end result of more pages. So I'm just going to get into it. So basically, what I, quite frankly, Thune should just take the Democratic CR bill and put it on the floor. It's not going to pass, but then at least the Republicans have done the right thing and given the Democrats their space to vent, um, throw their fit, have their circus game, but actually put their bill on the floor, and that way we do the right things, and then we can point, or they can point and say, hey, look, this bill got more support than that bill. Just mathematically, we can quantify which bill is better here. But they're not going to, obviously, in the astronomical chance that it passes, which it's not going to. But I think it's more just to show that they're in charge. I don't know. I totally think Democrats causes this whole catastrophe. However, I do think Thune should just take Schumer's bill and put it on the floor. So let's get into it. I'm gonna listen to them talk. Um, so basically, I just went on YouTube here
labor union
and go to Thune
to
and
debate
Schumer.
health care.
Oh, kind of messed that up a little bit. So let's get into it. See what they say. I like going to the actual news feeds of on the floor themselves, as opposed to listen to other commentators talk or whatever news shows. So this is how I look for my news. I go directly to the floor and see what they're saying in person, and then I pull up, you know, the text that we're talking about. So I got the text that we're talking about. I got the people and exactly what they're saying, and I don't have to listen to the middleman. So let's get into it.
Mr. President,
The Majority Leader.
thank you. Reserving the right to object, let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in.
I just want to point out that the Thune, this looks to be genuine, and I don't know if it's genuine. I don't know Thune personally, but his body language, the way he's projecting his voice, everything comes off to me that this man's being genuine in what he's passionately talking about.
And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences. Well, you know what? What Democrats are doing here. They're making plans to keep the shutdown going. And they realize, all of a sudden, 29 days in, that this is a real consequence, real life pain for American families, something that results from their shutdown. So are they making plans to end the shutdown and reopen the government? Nope. They're going to propose a bill to fund food stamps during their shutdown. Mr. President, this request is a transparent admission that Democrats want to keep the shutdown for what? Another month? Longer? This bill is a cynical attempt to provide political cover for Democrats.
Yeah, I don't know. Passing a single item bill in the middle of, I don't know, a much larger issue kind of is a problem. Um, I don't know. It's to fund one program, just one of the, I don't know, tens of thousands of different programs that our government funds. That, like, what a weak response, and it's really, heart tugging, to know who is affected by all this, and but everybody's affected by all this. Anybody who's affected by this is affected just as much as somebody who's affected by the snap. So it really is just a really horrible way to try to band-aid something. The correct a CR isn't even the correct response. You know, actually doing the work that a representative is supposed to do, a senator and representatives did it. You know, the House of Representatives, but doing the work to actually make an appropriations bill, that's what needs to happen. A CR is a band-aid. I don't think CR should be allowed, except in a very rare circumstance. And in my life now, I've seen dozens, and I don't like to think that I'm that old. However, like, to put a band-aid on a band-aid, I agree with Thune here. Um, Snap or not, like, it doesn't matter what it's for. It is a band-aid on a band-aid at that point. And the CR is already a pretty lackluster band-aid. But at least that funds everything. So, um, yeah, it is tough. They put out single line bills about things that really affect people, but they won't just go do the actual work to solve what affects everybody. It's like we're going to cherry pick. Um, this issue is going to be important to us, and this it's all important. The whole thing's important. Every bit of it. That's why you have a job in Congress, because it's all important. So stop cherry picking and just do the damn job. So let's move on. I'm starting to get kind of heated, but not at Thune. But I haven't even made it Schumer yet, so here we go.
To allow them to carry on their government shutdown for the long term. Now, I'll point out, we did 13 short-term clean CRs when they had the majority and President Biden was in the White House. 13. They've now voted 13 times against a clean CR. I have no idea where you're coming from. The Democrat leader said that President Trump could end this with a stroke of his pen. And he's right.
Pass the bill.
We pass that bill with a stroke of his pen, he'll sign it into law. And the government opens up. And SNAP beneficiaries, SNAP recipients get food assistance. But you know what else? TSA workers get paid. Air traffic controllers get paid. Border Patrol agents get paid. Troops get paid. These people here get paid who are working without pay. You want to extend that and keep that going? Give me a break. So the people who aren't going to get the benefit of what they're trying to do today, Mr. President, are all the other programs that are affected. Head Start, grants to law enforcement to fight fentanyl and hire more cops to protect communities. Rural development programs that are important in my state, Senator from New Mexico State, I assume as well, to support housing, utilities, infrastructure projects in rural communities. Small business loans, certain direct loan and emergency programs that farmers rely on. National Guard training, critical to our nation's military readiness. Veterans transition assistance as they come out of service. Veterans cemetery services. Right now, there are no headstones, memorial certificates, cemetery maintenance, programs that are at risk, rental and housing assistance.
You know, this might be one of the first times I've ever actually watched Thune talk. I knew his name, obviously, just sort of following politics, but I haven't actually watched him talk until right now, and he's impressive. He definitely holds, you know, holds the stage. He has good character. You can tell what he's talking about. He really feels the way he's projecting. Um, so yeah, you know, I just want to say that, but he's sort of getting to what I was saying. Um, there's so many programs out there. Why are we just picking one? You know, simply as a heart tugging thing to say, oh look, now if you don't do this, this heart tugger, if you don't vote for this heart tugger, you know, you're the bad guy. And there's so many other heart tuggers out there that you're just pulling one heart tugger out of a bag full of heart tuggers. That's what Schumer is attempting to do here, or whoever's presenting this bill. I don't know, but Schumer's in charge, so I will always say Schumer because I don't care to look up who is actually presenting these bills. We'll just go to the leader of the groups. Um, so yeah, there's just a bag full of heart tuggers, and you're cherry picking one out and trying to cast blame on everybody else for not voting for this one heart tugger. Um, so yeah, it's just sort of a bad tactic. It's see through, and I'm with Thune on that. You know, there is no point to band-aid a band-aid. It's like just replace the band-aid or fix what's bleeding. Moving on.
Delays in processing FHA-insured loans. Delays in aircraft inspections and maintenance for air traffic control equipment. People that are currently not getting paid. I mentioned some of them, but air traffic controllers, TSA officers, Capitol Police, the people who protect us in this building, NOAA employees who are tracking hurricanes and other potential weather disruptions, disasters, food inspectors,
That's going on.
other food and drug safety officials, mine safety inspectors, people who don't have pay certainty right now, troops, Coast Guard, ICE, Border Patrol, federal law enforcement, federal federal wildland fighters, firefighters.
He talks like me sometimes, it looks like.
Extenders that have lapsed, telehealth and at-home care, community health centers, teaching health centers, special diabetes programs, payments for ambulances, hospital at-home services, other lapsed authorizations, CISA to prevent against cyber attacks, National Flood Insurance Program to prevent closure, I should say, on homes in flood zones. That's what you're leaving on the table. The bill at the desk takes care of all of it. Funds SNAP, funds WIC, and yes, with the stroke of the president's pen, he can sign it into law
Man,
and
he's
everybody
mad.
starts getting paid again. This has got to stop. Hostage taking. Now you want some political cover. How long is this going to go on? How much longer do you want to see it go on? Just out of curiosity. So you think this buys some time. You want the shutdown to go on for another month, and then we're going to have another people come down here and, well, let's carve this out or carve this out.
Exactly.
Why don't we just open the government?
Exactly.
I've never seen anything like this. I've been here a good amount of time. I've seen continuing resolutions and appropriations problems and funding fights and government shutdowns. I've been through a few. I've never seen anything like this. This just isn't done. You want to have a discussion about health care? Absolutely. Let's do it. Open the government, let's do it. President will sit down with Democrats next week if you want to talk about health care. That's not what this is about. So, Mr. President, we're not going to pick winners and losers. It's time to fund everybody that is experiencing the pain from this shutdown. The Democrats really want to fund SNAP and WIC. I have a bill for them, sitting right there at the desk. Clean,
He has a Band-Aid for it.
nonpartisan, CR to fund SNAP, WIC, and the entire government, and all the many programs and people that the Democrat SNAP bill completely ignores. Mr. President, Democrats have spent a month now, playing with people's livelihoods because the far left wing of their party won't let them accept a clean, nonpartisan CR. If they want to prevent damage from their shutdown, they can end the shutdown. The bill's right here at the desk. So, Mr. President, I ask that the senator from New Mexico modify his request so that the Senate can proceed to the immediate consideration of calendar number 168, H.R. 5371, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table. Mr. President,
The Majority Leader.
I regret the fact that the senator from New Mexico and his Democrat colleagues are unwilling to modify his request to include keeping the government open. And I would say, rhetorical question to my colleague from New Mexico, if the government reopens, do SNAP beneficiaries get paid? Yeah, right? So do WIC beneficiaries. Veterans, low-income elderly people, people who need this assistance. It's not like you're doing anything here that isn't accomplished by reopening the government and paying everybody else. And you guys know that. There are a lot of people today who aren't getting paid.
Yeah, but Schumer knows that if you pass the CR, they lose their leverage. That's what's accomplished by not passing the CR is the leverage that they think they have. By the way, I haven't met not one single person in person that it would in any way say, "Oh, Republicans have done this." I don't know anybody. I think everybody can look at the situation and see very clearly what's going on here, and you start to get to the definition of delusional. In fact, let's go ahead and look that up um, while we're talking about it. Let's do this. Delusional. It's a psychotic disorder. Delusional disorder is a type of psychotic disorder characterized by the presence of one or more delusions. Okay, so delusional disorder is delusions, okay, which are the unshakable beliefs in something untrue. Individuals with this disorder experience delusions without prominent hallucinations or mood disorders. They can manifest in various forms, such as grandeur, persecution, or jealousy, and they persist despite evidence to the contrary. That right there is the big one. It's okay. Maybe they don't quite fit um, internet definition of delusional, but it does start to get kind of odd that they like Schumer exists in a world where he legitimately believes that the United States supports him in accusing the Republicans of shutting the government down. Like that is overtly untrue. It is very obvious that the government is shut down because of the lack of support to keep it open by Schumer and his people. So maybe Schumer didn't walk in and flip a switch and turn off the government. We turned the government off, obviously, but the lack of support is what did it. Like in any team, it takes, especially in the Senate, it takes 60 people to hold the roof up, if that makes sense. 60 people. And the Republicans can only get 55 people to hold the roof up, while the other 45 sit back and say, "Well, we didn't cause it to cause the roof to collapse." Like that's not the Republicans did it. Look, they're touching it. Like this is childish behavior. Um, and then for Schumer to turn around and everybody who supports Schumer to turn around and then try to put that blame back on Thune and his people, like that's delusional. It is overtly untrue, but it's an unshakable belief in that. So that is delusional. Anyways, I got that out of my system. Let's move on.
Last Friday, federal employees didn't get paid for the first time. Yesterday, or I should say air traffic controllers didn't get paid for the first time. And it only worsens over time. And so I would be more than willing, and have said this multiple times, as you all know, to sit down, get a group together, talk about health care. We think that Obamacare, and particularly the enhanced subsidies, are desperately in need of reform. There's no income cap. There's no asset test. People are making $500,000 to $600,000 a year and getting subsidies from the federal government for their health care. There are $0 premiums. There are millions of Americans who don't even know they have coverage because the way that program is structured, the payments go to...
Hold on. Before we go any further, I plan on making more of these videos where I just sort of look at what's going on and talk about it. I don't want to necessarily put my political view out there and say everybody else is crazy. So if you like what I'm doing here, hit that like button. Please subscribe. Put a comment down uh, in the comment section. All right, moving on.
directly to the insurance companies. So insurance companies are out there auto-enrolling people and making bank. A lot of people don't even know that they have insurance coverage. So this program is desperately in need of reform. The waste, fraud, and abuse in this program is kind of gotten to an epic level, because if you look at what's happened since 2013 when the exchanges went online, insurance premiums in the individual marketplace, on the exchanges, have gone up 221%. I mean, you tell me any place else in the economy that goes up 221% in that amount of time. It's going up double digits every year.
And do you know why? Let's talk about this for a second. Why is there inflation in the marketplace? And it's pretty obvious whenever the government comes in and they say we will subsidize the differences. The for-profit companies in between the government and the people, the for-profit companies in the center, will then take advantage of the subsidies, and the differences that the subsidies are making up for some reason, those differences begin to grow. And it's because you have the government backing it. Um, the customer is no longer responsible for the bill, the government it is. And the government has lots and lots of money to do that. So it's the same thing with like for colleges, tuition. The government backs the tuition, and therefore the tuition skyrockets over the years and the decades to a point where now people are paying $10,000 per semester to go to a or more, 20,000 per semester to go to a college. And it's because the person paying, the customer isn't paying. It's government backed. So whenever you attach a government paycheck or check to a program and that program is a for-profit company or something that grows in profits, those profits are going to grow even more than before when the government attached their name to it. Yeah, I think Harvard, this gets kind of into that. I think they have like a $50 billion endowment. That means that over the years they have collected $50 billion as a nonprofit, $50 billion of taxpayer dollars that we have given to them just for them to sit with $50 billion in the bank. So like it's these sorts of things that when you start to guarantee the pay from the government, what you're paying for, the price goes up. I don't know if that makes sense, but of course the marketplace, you know, did the same thing to insurance premiums, and I've watched it. I'm a mechanic. I'm just a normal person. I don't have a job in politics or anything else, and I've watched premiums double over the years numerous times. I mean, he's saying it only went up 200%. Like, was that tripling? I guess 220% is what he said. Like in my life, I've watched it go up more than that. So everybody got their numbers from different places. Anecdotally, I've seen it go up a lot more than 221%. So moving on.
In the employer market, it'd be 6 to 7%. So it's a program that's fundamentally in need of change and reform. It's unsustainable and it's unaffordable. And to give you an example of that, doing the very thing you're talking about, which is included in your bill, which was offered as an alternative to the Republican proposal, the clean Republican proposal that simply opens the government, the proposal included in your bill is a $400 billion item, cost to the taxpayers. And so we're willing to sit down and see, and I've said on behalf of the president as well, that he's willing to sit down and talk about how we can reform and make health care in this country more affordable and less inflationary. Because this program is inflationary.
Yep.
It's going up every year.
Yep.
Now, you all are going to blame the doing away with the Biden bonus payments in that legislation for the increase. But the fact of the matter is that'll be a very small part of that because of the way the program is structured in the first place. There is no incentive to constrain or control costs. So let's have that conversation. I've said that. We can sit down and do it. But as many of you have said, and there are quotes out there from all of you, in previous shutdowns or when there's fights over a continuing resolution, that you can't negotiate when you have a gun to your head. The Democrat leader said that. And so let's get beyond this silliness and fund the government and make sure that SNAP recipients and WIC recipients and recipients of other government programs, which I mentioned, and it's a long list, which isn't covered by your bill, by the way, that those people and those programs also get taken care of. We have a chance to do that. And we actually have a chance, I think, to have a normal appropriations process where we move bills across the floor, open them up to the amendment process, something that hasn't been done here in a while. We can do that. I want to start now. But it starts when we open up the government. So let's just do what normal people would do. And the Senator from New Mexico is right. I represent a lot of hardworking Americans, farmers, ranchers, small business people, school teachers, educators. My dad, mom were educators. And I just think that there are a lot of people out there who look at this and say, this doesn't make any sense to me. If they want to talk about health care, then let's do that. But why take the federal government hostage and every federal employee, including everybody in this room that's not getting paid, that isn't covered by the bill that you're putting forward? The bill that does cover everybody is the one right there, which we've now voted on 13 times. Just a few of you decide to vote differently. Let's get on appropriations bills, start funding the government the old-fashioned way. I'm for that.
I'm for that.
I think everybody over here is up for that. I know the chair of our
Everybody should be
appropriations
for
committee,
that.
Susan Collins, and most of the appropriators on the committee have worked together in a
It's hard to
constructive way,
trust anybody
a
in
bipartisan
Congress
way,
saying that, but I think
to
everybody
get bills
wants
to the
that.
floor that we can consider. But so far, everything we've tried to do here, at least in the last few weeks, have been blocked, including get on the defense appropriations bill and going to conference on 3 bills we've already passed. So, Mr. President, as much as I appreciate what the Senator from New Mexico is trying to do here, and I don't question his intentions, I think he is sincere, but I also think that this is missing the larger point here, and that is this government is closed. And what you're trying to do and accomplish here is make it harder, not easier, to get the government opened up again and to make sure everybody else gets paid. So, Mr. President, I object.
Okay.
The real reason you're stiff after sitting.
You can live a
Okay. So we all got the point. I just want to say that I like Thune. I think of everybody that I watch in Congress, from both the House of Representatives and from the Senate. I think Thune seems like somebody who really wants to work, down the center. Like, it sounds like he understands that people have different perspectives and different viewpoints, different worldviews, and he wants to have those conversations. Um, and he also doesn't seem like a chump. Like, he's definitely willing to hold his line and speak from the heart on these matters. So, um, overall, I mean, what did we learn? Um, well, Thune would like to open the government, and he's not willing to put a band-aid on a band-aid. I think that I can agree with that. I hope that you can agree with that. I hope that everybody can agree with that. That's not, you might as well bring up, if you're going to pass that one bill for SNAP, then you might as well pass another one for WIC. Might as well pass another one for, pregnant mothers, and another one for, you know, homeless vets, and another one. And you just keep on going and keep on going. I mean, if that process works, but there's just no, I mean, that might even be, I don't know, that might be a better way to do it, you know? And that way only the controversial stuff can sit off to the side instead of, the majority of it. But I don't think that that's the intention. Otherwise, there would be a stack of bills behind that Um, and there's not. There's just the one for SNAP. So I'm on board with what Thune is doing, with the response. I think he hit the nail on the head that this isn't the way to do it. And I think that Schumer should really look at him talking and his body language and know that he's being serious when he says that he wants to talk about the appropriation process and he wants to get back to doing it the good old fashioned way. I think everybody should really want that because passing a CR every what few months or whatever, every 6 months, twice a year, whatever it ends up being is kind of ridiculous. It should just be not a clean CR. It should be a clean appropriation bill once a year, where it goes through the entire process, the entire debate process, amendment process, and then goes on, to be passed and signed into law by the president. Um, that's so much easier than having continued continuing resolution discussions and then appropriation discussions. Like it's almost like they're inventing work to do, instead of just doing the appropriations process, they're throwing in all these CRs process just to give them something to do. So I never like seeing that's either a waste of time, and can be better spent somewhere else, or it's just proof of fraud. These are potentially fraudsters who just collect our tax dollars to go pretend that they're doing something. And either way, I'm not okay with that. So they do need to get back to work. I totally support not paying representatives anytime the government shut down because it's their job to keep it open. If you don't do that, you don't get paid. I would be in total support of that. I think most people should, um, because there is no ramification for not doing your job. Um, so attaching dollar bills to the ability to do it, to spend dollar bills, it just makes sense. So that's all I got for you today. Um, that is Thune talking on WIC and the government shutdown. I don't know if my reaction helped at all. I hope it does. Again, leave a comment. Let's start talking about some things. And start making these videos a little more, and hopefully I can see you back here. All right, thank you, and have a good day.